Hey guys, it's AprilMayRain. You are looking awesomely beautiful today. Guys, Corsair's Vengeance RGB Pro SL versus Corsair Vengeance RGB RT and RS. How are these memory kits the same and how are they different? In this video, I'll be going through the entire physical and performance differences between these two RAMs and whether you guys are building a new computer or upgrading, what you should get whether you are in an Intel or an AMD system. Before I go into the video, guys, make sure to hit that subscribe button. We gotta hang out more, so just make sure that sub button is clicked, and of course that like button is liked, because the more I see that it is liked, the more content like this I can make for you guys, the more value I can provide. So that's pretty much it. Let's get into the video. Gotta start off the video with a wide shot of the setup. So as we are coming in, we have the kits laid out for you right here. As you can see, we have the Vengeance RGB Pro SL right here, and then we have the Vengeance RGB RS and RT. And why these are packaged together and why I said we are kind of comparing two kits at the same time is because these two are just variants of this is optimized for Ryzen's and this is optimized technically for Intel. But I'm going to unbox these guys and show you guys the actual physical differences. So just finished unboxing these guys. I'm gonna really quickly flip these over just so you guys can see the back of the box. That was for the RT. This is for the RS. You can see the compatible softwares is AuraSync and MSI, which is great. So there's the Pro SL there. And already these RAMs feel so premium. These DIMMs, these memories feel very, very premium. So just off the bat, these are all very, very different as I'm just seeing right here. So what I think I'm just gonna start with the RT. So you see these triangle grooves here. We have a nice chrome, like, or luminescent is what I should call it, logo here, which is cool. Actually, this isn't luminescent. So yeah, so these Vengeance have luminescent logos, which is really cool. This is the nice brushed aluminum here, but it also looks more, oh, it does feel brushed on that side. And then this is more like just metallic metal. So already very, very different styles. So let's look at the RGB. Okay, we have the logo up top, which I don't know if I prefer that with this, the logo on the side, and then no logo on top here for the Pro SL. So keep that in mind. I will be doing the RGB comparisons, so you'll see the difference between those, but there is, yeah, protruding triangles. Okay, yeah, protruding triangles here, protruding as in you can feel them, they're textured, and they are up here as well. So we will be looking at the kind of RAM difference between the RGB and how it shows, because it's not, yeah, this comes out, but this is also guarded on the side where it's not here, that's exposed. Size comparison, they are very, very similar. Actually, it's probably the same kit of RAM, but yeah, just that heatsink and RGB header is a little different. So it does protrude a little down on the SL, and I know I'm kind of comparing them all right now, but let's go to the RT just to show, all right, this feels exactly the same. So these are the physical differences, similar in the structure, but in particular, we have a different, I'm really trying not to touch, guys, if you're handling memory, do not try and touch the, contact points. But this does not protrude. This kind of has a reflective look to it. This has no real differentiation with the, yeah, so this has a Z height, which means it just increases in structure here, like you're feeling this. There is a shape to that. Ooh, almost like a stealth jet. That's awesome. Here does not have that, here does. So there is, I guess, difference between the two. So I wonder if having that extra heat sink on the RT will help cooling, or the extra just type of metal there. So I'm very, very excited to see. Anything else with this guy? Yeah, we got the logo on the top. We have the triangles that are there. And that is pretty much all I really want to talk about, the physical differences. If you guys want me to do, of course, this kind of shot, where I'm taking these guys, setting them like this, making sure they're lined up. Oh yeah, okay. Very cool. Yep, they are the same, or at least the RT and RS are. That Pro is different with a little more height there, and then yeah, you get those triangles that are coming in through that way. Cool. Okay, oh, backs. Oh, I almost forgot the backs. Guys, do not let me do that again. So coming back over here, well, actually, backs are the same. Same with that. Now you can really see the protrusion there with that kind of triangle that's coming in. Definitely see that with the RT. and you can also see that as well. So let's do RGB comparison. Dim the lights and we are ready to test out this RGB. So we have the Pro SL on the left and the RS on the right. This is just how it looks in the system, and you can definitely see just a very slight variant of that, the kind of indent that the Pro SL does. Not very significant. It's gonna be really close. So I'm really excited just to power this on. Yet again, do not recommend having your configuration be using the 2 or any of these variants. I really recommend sticking to one kit, but just for test purposes, we are turning this on. Wow, they look obviously stunning, but they are almost exactly the same. Like, I'm looking at it just with the naked eye, and yeah, it could be darker in here, but guys, it is very similar. You do see the lines on the Pro SL, and then you do see the triangles on the RS. So I mean, you can really, it's hard to compare the two. Like I said, I think, I don't like I said, I don't like the logo on this beautiful strip of RAM. They Corsair definitely should have put it on the side. But this dim stick, I think, is a lot clearer than, or at least a little more flush than the lines. I think the lines kind of diffuse it a little bit. Let's give you a look this way. You can see the individual LEDs on both. Let's look at this top here. Not too bad of a difference. My camera switch there. Not too bad of a difference with this close off hinge that the Pro SL has. Really like the openness here. So if I was gonna put a score, geez, for the RGB, I think I would have to give it a tie. If this didn't have the logo there, it would definitely be the winner, would be the RS, but this is just a beautiful kit. These both, I would actually put them tied. They're stunning. You will not go wrong with the RGB, whether you have 2, 4, or 8, like my system over here. You can actually see that these are the original Pros, so not the SLs, but you can see the clasp is on the top of those. Yeah, she's watching my finger going. Yeah, so you can see that the clasp is closing off a lot of that RGB that would have been flushed through. So to show you those, she's so adorable. That's Ahsoka over there. But to show you those, and then to come back here, this clasp is on the back. You barely notice that, but these have no clasps on this side. So the original Vengeance Pro, RGB Pro, I would not recommend getting that right now because the SL just looks so far superior than the last SL that I tested. So guys, just between these RAMs, yeah, beautiful RGB there. I'm gonna turn off the system so you guys can see them again, just really quick with the system off and this turning off and seeing them just in the system. Yeah, looks really cool. I would say they are both tied as far as physical differences goes. Very beautiful RAM. Okay, now on to performance. Alrighty, we are here at the computer now. It is a few days later because it took time to benchmark the SL versus the RT versus the RS. That's a mouthful. But really quickly, before we go into the whole benchmark side, I really want to show you guys iCUE. This is the software you're going to be using to control your RGBs. iCUE will look like this right when you download it. Of course, it'll say a different name for whichever RAM that you get, but it will look very, very similar to this. Here's your CPU. Most likely, it might be 4 or 2 RAMs configuration that you might have. If I go to, yeah, 8's a little extreme, I know. But when you go to a lighting layer that's right over here, you can choose the type of effects you want to apply onto your RGB. So right now, if I do watercolor spectrum, this is kind of what I'm seeing, and you can see it's happening with all of the RAM sticks. What I get asked a lot is about static color, which I can come down here to custom and just do static color. A lot of people don't super like RGBs, so they're like, oh, I just want my system to be white, or I want it to be blue. So boom, we can come in here and do static color, change to blue, and there you go. If I want to add a layer priority, so this is when it gets really cool, I can say, oh, I want to go back to watercolor, so now I'm back to RGB, and now I'm having this layer be the priority, and I can actually select these 4, where these 4 now are showing the watercolor spectrum, but still behind this layer is the static color, which is still blue, which is showing up there. So that's really quickly wanted to show that. I think that's really important for you guys to know how to control your RGB. I didn't even get to explain that during the RGB portion of the video, so that's really important. So let's talk about this. The CPU Z, which you see up there, that is going to be showing the timings and the similarities between the RAMs. We have user benchmark, which is a very general benchmark with how just the RAM works for the entire PC. We have Cinebench, which is full CPU, how the CPU is interacting with the RAM. We have Unigen Heaven, which is about Heaven. I need to double check that. Is how the GPU and the RAM are compatible. So this is important for the FPS gamers out there. We need to know which of these RAMs are boosting that with whichever GPU you have. And then we have the pass mark, which is very important for just the RAM stick itself, just hitting that hard with a hard benchmark test, and that's going to be really important to know how just strong these RAMs are. These are all in XMP configuration on Intel, but I will go into the next slide, which shows how I'm benchmarking these. And then we are using hardware monitor to control the temperatures. So next slide, I just hit spacebar. It's simple as that, or I click. Wait, I can hit spacebar. I can do that. This is just a PowerPoint, so this is great. And I have to hide my ugly face really quick because I need to make sure you guys see everything. And with this slide, trying to show you guys the names tied to the pictures. This is important, but I'll try and keep everything named as we're going. Here's the different SKUs for each of them. You can see the C16 at the end of this. This is the cat latency right here, which everything below DDR4 for each of these is exactly the same, which is extremely impressive. Everything different in the names is the Pro is added to the different kind of look that we have with the older Vengeance style look that they kind of redesigned and made a little smaller with the Slim or the SL. I guess it stands for Slim, but as you can see, this is the CL timings for each of these. So let's look at CPU Z to confirm that. But not after I show you the two PCs I used to bench test these RAMs, so you can pause if you want to check those out, but these are the two systems I used. And I thought this was a good slide to include because this is RT versus RS and how Corsair is showing the difference. You can see that this is very simple description for the RT variant where it's saying it's optimized for AMD systems, but going to the RS, the content creator I think was different because they added some fluff here, individual dressable RGB lighting. Trust me, both these RGBs for both these DIMMs are exactly the same. They're kind of adding a little fluff here is what I would call it. Intel and AMD motherboards, so they are saying that instead of for system, they're saying motherboards. I think this is just two different creators making this ad, so not to make any difference. And when I say ad, this is more of the what's hot or the what's new section in Corsair's website that shows these RAMs. But using the chat bot, I actually asked what the difference between the Vengeance RGB RT and the RS is, and I got a pretty good response knowing that the RS is kind of the budget version if you wanted something a little more that packed a little more punch. Look at the Dominator Platinum RGB, that's very understandable. But this is what I'm confused about, is the response that I got about the Vengeance RGB RT is that it's only compatible for use with AMD processors. So my testing with the RT was definitely a lot done on the Intel system. So I'm a little confused there. Don't quote me on any of this. I'm just looking at the website, but I was definitely able to use the RT version of this specific RAM stick that I got on an AMD or on an Intel system that says it's specified for AMD and then even showed in the chat box. So I don't want you to blow up the chat box or go to Corsair and say, hey, did you see this? Not at all. I'm just saying that this is what they're saying, but with more testing and maybe more research on my side, I can figure out what this actually means by what they say compatible, because that's what all this comes down to. To kick off the bench test, you can see, boom, these are exactly the same. This is super awesome to see that when on the box, these RAM sticks all said the same kind of things, and you're getting this through CPU-Z. These number differences, like you can see that there's a 1 there. These are dynamic numbers, these few here, and they're just constantly cycling and changing. So I couldn't screenshot them exactly when they were all the same, but trust me, they are all classified as the same. So don't look at these two frequencies and be like, oh, well, the RT's better. No, not at all. So let's move on. Okay, so now we're starting the first benchmark. So if you skipped ahead, you are in the right place now. So we have the SL, the RT, and the RS. This is how I'm kind of showing the results for each. And user benchmarks is great because everyone can run it. Everyone can see the results that they have for their system. It's probably the easiest benchmark to run on any of the ones that I'm using. But what I don't want you guys to stress about is this number here, this bench percentage, because this is based off of your memory configuration against other people's same memory configuration, but other people's systems. So if that makes sense, it's comparing, which isn't what you want to look at. You want to look at your actual scores. And wow, this is very interesting because I tested this with an Intel system, and the RT with these percentages here is beating out the SL and the RS, which are both saying are also optimized for Intel, but not optimized for Intel is the RT here. So this is very interesting, but gave first place to the RT, second place to the SL, third to the RS. Now on to a CPU test called Cinebench. This is testing the CPU multi-core performance with each of these RAM sticks with the same CPU. And wow, these results, I was very surprised, were very different. And the SL came on top for some reason. I mean, it is optimized for Intel system. I ran this test on an Intel system. So very strangely, these are very vastly different scores. And you can see off the bat, there's no temperature sensor. When I was recording temperatures during this test, that the SL, why it is maybe called budget, is because it does not have a temperature sensor, which I think is really important because I like to watch temperatures on all my products. I like to know if something's getting too hot or if I need to reapply thermal paste because I'm thermal throttling on my CPU. So I love looking at temperatures, but this does not have a temperature sensor. The RS doesn't. So keep that in mind going through the whole rest of the demo that I'm doing. But just seeing the temperature maxes also, the RT, though it didn't perform as high, it was a cooler running, and I made sure my environment was very stable. Ambient temperatures were the same. I'm getting pretty good at testing, but I'm no Gamer's Nexus, guys. I'm no Linus where I can have a whole warehouse and a lab to do these tests. But this is good for you guys to see because if you are a content creator, I'm already looking at that SL as a good solution for you. And now on to the GPU bench test, which we have Unigine Heaven. It is great to see these results very, very similar across the board. I feel like the majority of my viewers are gamers, so if they've already made a decision on these RAMs, either of these kits, they didn't make a bad decision because RAM affects very little of your gaming performance, but going to 8 gigs to 16 gigs, that's where you'll really make the jump there. So this is all very minuscule change. Look, you can see we have our first tie. Our first tie. Tried to make an announcer voice there. That wasn't very good. But we do have a tie with the SL and the RS because that minimum FPS is really nice to see that the RS held up and actually had a very high minimum FPS, which you don't want to go too low. So there was more dynamic FPS between the SL over here. So that is why, even though the score is higher, why we gave the RS some love here. And of course, the RT somehow comes ahead, even on an Intel system. This is starting to not make any sense. This is just what I'm seeing. I'm just trying to show you guys the results. Yet again, these are all very, very slight changes here. So don't judge a book by its cover. These RAMs are all very good at gaming performance. And finally on to Passmark with an Intel system. So these kits were in my Intel system for this test, and wow, you can see that the RT is winning over the RS and the SL, but the SL over here did a little worse than the RS, so maybe the RS is actually optimized for Intel, but these results, very surprising, giving the dub to RT. I'm actually going to go to the next slide, which is the AMD comparison. You can see very, very slight differences here, but still kind of comparative to the Intel with just how Passmark is actually allocating, the available RAM and what the latency is for each of these. Very interesting to see these results. I'm actually going to go back to look at the Intel again. Just very, very interesting. I am very surprised to just see the RT do as well as it is. But this is, now that I'm seeing this, the premium RAM choice here. This is probably the elite choice. But we're going to keep moving on. There's the AMD again. So we're going to go check out prices.
cool, we have Corsair on this side and we have Amazon on this side. Looking at USD prices and screenshots as of recording, we have the $77.99, the same on Amazon. So if you have Prime, I would go with Amazon for this side. Corsair shipping might be different from where you are located. Have no idea, but that's just what's on their site. They also right now have Notify in stock, so you do not have, or Corsair does not have stock right now, so you would not be able to get the SL right now from Corsair.com. Looking at the RT, also is not in stock, and that price, look at that price difference. So we are getting a good decrease over at save $10. That is not even, maybe even a little more than that if you're counting the shipping costs that you might have to pay on the Corsair side if you have Prime. So this is great to see that Amazon is taking some initiative, making 11% there. You're having some savings there, which is great. But yet again, not in stock, the RT. And then looking at the Vengeance RS right down here. So looking at that same price, so same deal, 12% off. So Amazon is trying to stay in unison with, and we have cart options for good. We have in stock for RS, which is great. So yeah, Amazon is trying to stay current with the prices that I think Corsair has. I actually think Corsair runs this, runs the Amazon store. So it is their due diligence to kind of keep those the same so we don't have too many parties going to different ways. But it is supporting both companies, but I am giving first place to Amazon here because that is nice to see that they're most likely. I mean, in Amazon, I don't have the add to cart button, but these were all in stock as of recording. And for the final verdict, I did give the RT the trophy here. It won in like every category. Come on, we kind of had to. I do have this little diagram up here for each of these. So if you have an AMD system, you game a lot, and you content create kind of second off of that. Content creating, I would say, is like a lot of 3D work. If you're in any of the Adobe products, so Photoshop, Premiere, I would say that's all content creating. And you also have no budget, the RT would be an excellent choice for you. With the choice of the SL, if you have either an Intel or an AMD system, but your majority of your time you're spending your content creating and then secondary kind of doing some gaming on the side, the SL would be an awesome choice there. For the RS, on Corsair's website, they literally say it is optimized for Intel systems and not even compatible with AMD. So I have kind of two carrots there. So if you have an Intel system, you game a lot, content create next, and you're on a budget, the RS would be a great choice here. But really, this SL and RS should basically be tied. I would say if you had an Intel system, either of these choices would be a great option. It's really about the look. So coming down to the look of these, you know, the RT actually looks really clean. It is the newest RAM or piece of RAM kit, memory kit that Corsair has released, and it is just an amazing kit of RAM to have. So either of these choices are great. Don't let this 1, 2, 3 metals be any kind of divergent to you. Whatever you choose, it's going to be a great choice. This was a super fun PowerPoint to make, and yeah, hella awesome. Guys, thank you so much for watching, especially all the way up to this point. There's a lot of information there, so take everything with a grain of salt. Do your own research if you're building a new PC, buying a new PC, upgrading a PC, or buying some memory for a friend. There's a lot of different information out there, and I just want to provide you guys the facts that I'm seeing, so and then just giving back value. So check those comments out because there's a lot of comments that I like to reply to in the other videos that I have as well. So check out the other memory comparison videos that I have. That's where you'll find a lot of information. The community that I've kind of built on the comparing memory has been awesome. All you guys are super, super cool. Please follow me on these Snapchats and the TikToks and the Instagrams. All those things are great ways to actually contact me directly because tons of times I've gotten people asking me about what memory kits that I use and what they recommend. Here's what it looks like in their system. And I'm able to actually like make videos of things that they need to see, like, oh, this is the problems that I'm having. And I've helped a lot of you guys that way by just through DMs. It's been great. So I'm here to provide value back to you guys and just be here to hang out. Like, I want to make more videos. So also in the comments, let me know what kind of videos you would like to see next. But guys, thank you all so much for watching. And as always, stay awesome, be beautiful, and hope I'll see you once again.
What's in there?
What are you doing? What are you doing? No, it's scratching the glass.